Hey guys, welcome back. Man, I have got some exciting news for you. Now, some of you know that we've been raising money for our global 6K Walk for Water, which is happening this weekend, that we're doing it as a church. And we're trying to raise $10,000 as a church, but as a youth, as CircleYouth, we were trying to hit just $500. And now we were trying to raise just $500. Now, we had a couple of tiers to get to. You could get to $500, or we could push it and hit $1,000, or even hit $1,500. And we had some different incentives for you along the way too. But here we are with our total so far. Now, there's still room to grow. There's still room to give more, but here's where we're at right now. As of today, you have raised $1,620, $1,620, which is amazing and frightening at the same time, because I know what's coming for me, and I think you know what's coming for me. So while I'm looking forward to getting my legs waxed and getting pied in the face and dyeing my beard, I'm just really glad that we could raise this much money to give 32 people around the world clean drinking water for life. I think that is just incredible. Now, there's still time to raise even more money. How cool would it be if we could get to $2,000? That's incredible. I sort of ran out of incentive for you, but maybe you guys can make that your next goal, $2,000. What do you think? We have a few days left. We're like $380 shy of $2,000. So, hey, go for it. Give it a shot. But we'll keep you updated with when stuff is going to happen, when the pies in the face will happen, when the leg waxing will happen. We'll probably tape it, and when my beard gets dyed, you'll definitely know. You'll definitely know when that gets dyed. But I guess what I could tell you is I think we're planning to do the pies in the face next Wednesday. So you're going to want to be here next Wednesday, and everyone that comes, we're going to put your name in a hat, and we're going to draw out 5 names, and those 5 people will get to do the honors. Go easy. Be gentle. I've loved you all so much. Please be gentle with me. That's something to look forward to. So make sure you're here next Wednesday, okay? But really, that's all I have for you guys right now. I'm a little sad. We only have a few more of these gatherings left. But what I am looking forward to is celebrating with you on our last day on June 16th. You're going to want to be here. Plan something fun with your small groups. But I'm also looking forward to our youth drop-in in the summertime. Now, stay tuned for more information on that. But it's going to be an awesome way to connect during the summer while you're not at the lake, when you're here during the week, when you're just sitting at home bored. Come be a part of this. I think we're looking at Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in the evenings. We're going to have stuff for you to do here. Just a nice drop-in for you to come. Bring your friends, and just have a good time. So that's something to look forward to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it off to Jason and Ben, and they're going to lead us in part 3 of this series, Peace in the Pandemic. It's the last part, so enjoy it. Enjoy the small group discussion. We'll see you guys next week.
Well, hello, friends. Welcome back to our third, and it's our final one, Ben. Third and final session of Peace in the Pandemic.
Yes, welcome back. So a few years ago, I ran into my friend John as I was leaving a coffee shop. And he was with a few people from his youth group, some high school students.
I haven't seen John in years, by the way.
You know the John I'm talking about?
I definitely do. And I love this story. And it came to mind that I haven't seen him in a long time.
I haven't seen him in a long time. I've seen him only online.
And you know what I love we do? We go, I'd love to see that guy. But I could just text him.
Right.
But I might not.
We should text him because he'll
appreciate that.
Or should we let someone else text them like, hey, Ben and Jason
talked about you?
Yeah.
So this is for some clues. John, who used to live in Coquitlam, makes cartoons.
He's a surprisingly good cartoonist.
And so then those that know John will know the John we're talking about.
Yes, now, little twist here, because the stories, this little memory I'm thinking of is not necessarily about John. It's more about some of the kids in his youth group at the time.
So it feels
Cam
a
and
little
Jess.
bit misweighted that we spent so much time talking about John.
Exactly.
Then.
But we also know Cam and Jess, and they're great. So, and they ended up getting married. So that's a punchline that
I didn't know that.
They're
I didn't know this was
now.
the same. I knew that they got married, but I didn't know that this. Anyways,
This is part. Yeah.
You
so
go ahead.
You know where I'm going. So I see John. He's with Cam and Jess, who were teenagers at the time, and I asked them what they were doing at this coffee shop, and they told me they were about to launch this really special project. They'd been hearing about how many people in Vancouver were homeless, and they wanted to help. So they were launching what they called the $1 a Day campaign to raise money for a bunch of different organizations who were helping people around the city. The idea was to get as many people as possible from churches and youth groups all over the city to join in and give $1 a day just for 1 month. And I remember leaving the coffee shop that day thinking, this sounds like a lot of work. And I wondered if they were going to pull it off. But sure enough, after a few months of organizing everything with the help of a couple other friends and youth leaders like John, Cam and Jess, who were teenagers, remember, themselves, they ended up raising $40,000. And they got like 800 people involved. It was amazing.
What I love about Cam and Jess is that they saw a need and they did what they could to help meet that need. And I love this about many of the high school students that I know today. They want to get out there and make things happen and even get messy when it comes to trying to solve a problem that they see.
The big question we're answering in this series is, how do we find peace in the middle of all the struggles and challenges of life? Peace even in a pandemic. For many of us, the pressures of day-to-day life weigh us down, and fear and anxiety are right there to trying to push us down even further. We believe that even in the midst of it all, you can experience more joy and more peace. Following Jesus doesn't lead us to an easy life, but it does lead us to full life. And this series is about leaning into the peace of God that is real and available even in the most difficult times in our lives.
In our first session together, we talked about how we need people and how much of a difference it makes when we fight for connection with others. And then we talked about cultivating connection with God in prayer. And today we want to talk about another P, people, prayer. Today we want to talk about living with a sense of purpose.
And when we say purpose, we believe that it's true about your life as a whole. In the deepest sense, your life has purpose and meaning. You are one of a kind, and God loves you and has good things in store for your life. You were made with unique gifts and abilities, and He placed you in this moment in history, in this family, in this community for a purpose.
I love that. And I believe that really deeply. Your life has purpose, full stop. But on another level, though, there is a journey that each of us go on in discovering our sense of purpose in our day-to-day lives. And I know that for many people, in the midst of the global pandemic, they experienced a lack of purpose as so much of the world shut down. But for others, as they began to see the needs around them as a result of the pandemic, they found a new sense of mission and purpose in serving others and responding to the needs around them.
In fact, the way that God has made us as humans is that when we serve and love others, we actually find more joy and purpose. In the very beginning of the book of The Purpose-Driven Life by Pastor Rick Warren, the first line of chapter 1 is this: it's not about you. The purpose of your life is far greater than your own happiness.
Sounds a bit harsh. It's not about you.
Yeah, it does, right? But it's actually, when you get to the core of it, it's actually a liberating idea.
It is. It is. It's an invitation to a life fueled by love and like a sense of adventure. And I know that you know this, but let me remind you, you don't have to wait till you're older, more educated, less timid, or anything like that before you live this kind of life, like a purpose-filled life.
Yeah, your life can make a difference now. Your actions and words can make someone's day or even change their life. And all over the world, we're hearing stories of young people living this kind of purposeful life, finding ways to love and serve others.
In the stories recorded about Jesus in Scripture, we see Him inviting people to come and follow Him. But not just follow Him, but also to join Him. He invited the first followers to join Him in loving others, serving people, and proclaiming the good news. And this was like a massive epiphany for me when I first started following Jesus. Because I had this idea as a teenager that Christianity was all about what I shouldn't do or couldn't do. But as I read the Bible and understood more and more throughout church history how the first Christians responded to the gospel, I realized that following Jesus is an invitation to the adventure of joining God in His mission of bringing love and restoration and wholeness to the world around us.
In Matthew 5, Jesus says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. This is about a way of serving others that results in our Father in heaven getting the glory. He isn't just talking about good behavior here. It's not mainly about not doing certain things. It's about serving others. It's about caring for those in need.
Yeah, and it's a picture of light shining in the midst of darkness. And when things are dark, and man, do we know that moments like the pandemic, it can feel really dark. But when things are darkest, light shines the brightest.
So often people do things for others to get credit, maybe to post about it and wait for others to like it and respond. But that's not what this is about. And this isn't something that we do in order to get God's favor or love. We have God's favor. He loves us already. He showed us that when Jesus died on the cross for us and forgave us and sent his Spirit to help us and teach us. So our good deeds are a response to God's love and goodness in our lives. We do good because God has done and been good to us.
And I know for me, at least, when I'm in difficult seasons of life, I talk a lot and focus a lot on getting through it. Or I'm constantly saying things or thinking things like, I just can't wait for this to be over. And that makes sense because it's normal to look forward to the end of something difficult. But while we can look to the future with hope, like towards the end of a troubling season, we can also be asking, what can I do now in the midst of it?
I think this is a good spot for us to pause and take a few minutes to talk things over as a group. So why don't you pause here? When the pandemic first started and everyone was staying home, but maybe only going for like a walk every day, I remember I was out for my daily walk. It was about 7 p.m. and I heard someone banging pots and cheering. And at first it seemed a bit weird, but it turned out to be a cheer for the frontline workers. And then it caught, and every night at 7 p.m., Melissa and I would join in.
Yeah, in our neighborhood, my wife and I and our kids, well, I should say more specifically in our townhouse complex, we were the first ones banging really loud, pots and pans. And my daughter Millie, she loved it. I don't know if she knew exactly what was going on, but she knew it was about cheering on doctors. So she'd be out the patio going, go doctors, go doctors. It was awesome.
So cute.
And then what began to happen, and Ben and I live pretty close by, so I ran into Ben and Melissa outside at one point. Everyone spread out because this neighbor, this older couple, would stand on their balcony and sing songs during the 7 o'clock cheer.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful.
It was like a real setup. They put speakers out and they put a list down.
A sandwich board with the songs.
Yeah, they had a list of songs you could shout out, play this song. And then I met so many of our neighbors in that time. And it was just one example of the community coming together. Another example I think of is from our friend Landry. He started a program at his church, and when the pandemic first started, people could send in a message about what they needed, and then other people from the church could buy those things and give them to them.
I love that. Some people from my church community connected with some of the long-term care homes for seniors in the city of Vancouver, and they just asked, how can we help you? And they were told that writing letters back and forth would actually be a real blessing because so many of these seniors that are living in isolation were experiencing increased loneliness in the midst of the pandemic. So they got a whole bunch of volunteers and they started writing. And I think they wrote over 300 letters to seniors to encourage them during the pandemic.
I heard of another young guy who volunteered to help people in his church who were struggling to figure out all the technical aspects of how to join church online. So he would teach them how to do it and make sure they had everything they needed to continue to connect with the church family.
Ben and I got to chat with some students from Denver and Calgary who started running Alpha Online to give their friends something to do and a way to connect. And they set it up and invited a few friends and created a space online every week for them and their friends to have deeper conversations about life and faith and Jesus.
There are so many examples of this, but the idea behind it all is see the need and respond. See the need and respond.
Yeah, and we live in a moment, though, that it could be tempting to see the need and then just post about it online. And listen, posting about something online is a powerful way to raise awareness and point to real issues. So I'm not trying to downplay that, but imagine if we posted about it and then put our energy and resources, our hands and feet towards that cause. And big or small, whatever the need is, we have a way to respond. And listen, it doesn't take a pandemic for there to be needs around us. We see it all the time on our street, in our school, at our youth group. There are needs that you can help with.
And because we live in such a connected world, we can see needs globally and respond too. It's amazing. Whether it's nearby or far away, we can see the need and respond.
When we decide to look outwards and live with purpose, even in the midst of life's most difficult challenges, it helps others. But it also has a big impact on our own lives because it opens the door to more of God's hope and peace and joy in our lives.
So where do we start? If you're sitting there thinking, okay, I'm in, what do I do now? We want to give you 3 steps to getting more involved to living with purpose. First, identify a need, something you can help with, big or small.
Now, you might have like unique gifts or skills or passions. And if you can find a way to use that gift or passion to help others, that's amazing. But to be honest, don't let that stop you. Because what people need more than anything is what we all have, which is time and love and kindness and energy. Don't wait till you find like the perfect thing. Get going, and along the way, you'll find expressions for your unique gifts and passions.
Second, find a teammate. Find someone or a couple people that you can team up with. This will make any success sweeter, and if things don't go as planned, the good news is you'll at least have someone to share the pain with.
I've felt this very personally. I think about this time a few years ago when my friends and I hosted an event for some of our other friends to raise support for a cause that we cared about. And so we bought a whole bunch of food, and we were hoping for there to be like maybe 100 people there. And when the day came, there's only like 2 or 3. And we had this like whole presentation prepared, and then we decided to still do it. And it was so awkward, and the whole experience felt so deflating. And since that time, as a side note, we've hosted other fundraisers that have been more successful. But honestly, if I was doing that night alone, it would have like crushed me. But because I did it with some friends, it's a memory that we share and laugh about all the time. Like now it's just part of our story. And so I say all that to say, get a teammate, because it makes the hits hurt less and it makes the wins way sweeter.
And third, start now. Don't wait until you have a perfect plan. Doing something to help is better than doing nothing because you're waiting for everything to be just right. Perfectionism is your enemy. I've heard it said, get going and then get good.
So that's the 3 simple steps you can use. Identify a need, find a teammate, and start now. And then just repeat those steps. And don't worry about failing. Because wouldn't you rather fall short trying to make a difference than just sitting at home playing video games alone? Because for me, I know that when we live our lives this way, when our focus changes off of ourselves or our problems or our limitations and onto others, we begin to see that we can partner with the work God is doing around us, and it opens doors to more peace and joy in our lives.
When life is hard, our instinct can often be to turn inward, to withdraw from community and to focus on our own issues. And that makes sense when you're dealing with real challenges. But in the middle of it, let me encourage you to keep your eyes open to others, to the ways that you can serve. And that can bring more joy and peace to help you navigate the challenges in your own life.
In life, we all face very tough stuff. And I know that some of you are going through things that I can't imagine. And this series has been about finding peace even in the midst of it all. We've talked about people and prayer and purpose as a way that God can bring peace to our lives in the midst of difficult situations, even in the midst of a pandemic.
So let's be people who fight for connection with others. Let's cultivate a deep connection with God in prayer. And let's live with a sense of purpose, serving others. If we do, little by little, we will experience more of God's extraordinary peace in our lives.
I'd love to pray for you before you break into some discussion. Jesus, thank you so much that you are peace personified. That peace isn't something that we just have to find on our own strength, that you actually bring peace into our life. And I thank you for this invitation to build community and to know you deeper and to serve others. And God, I pray that we would just catch a vision in our hearts, that even in the midst of challenging circumstances, you've got a call and a purpose on our life. I pray for each person watching, that they would have an increased awareness of the unique purpose and calling that you have on their lives. And God, through this, that we grow closer to you and closer with others. And I do want to pray for anyone who feels like their life is the opposite of peaceful right now, that by your Holy Spirit, you'd fill them with your peace that becomes like an anchor in the midst of our lives. We love you, Jesus, and we're grateful for the conversations we've had together in this series. Pray it all in your name. Amen.
Well, friends, thank you so much for watching. That's it for Peace in the Pandemic.
Yeah, we hope to see you soon.